YouTube, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to do something a bit different. I'm going to react to FlygonHG's Hardcore Nuzlocke of Ultra Sun. Now, what makes this really interesting is this is his first attempt of Nuzlocking Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. Actually, first ever playthrough, as it says up above. And as you guys know, it took me 12 attempts to beat my Hardcore Nuzlocke of Ultra Sun. And there was another video that dropped, and that is Ludwig's Mobile Platinum video. But I wanted to react to this because not only did it just take me like 12 attempts to beat my Hardcore Nuzlocke of Ultra Sun, I saw the most growth come from my channel because of my Ultra Sun video. And I want to see what Flygon did, because this took him one attempt. I watched a bit of his stream of it. I actually watched Flygon a lot. I learned quite a bit of stuff from him that I can apply to my own Nuzlockes. Let's see what he did in this video.
Hi everyone, my name is FlygonHG, and this is the video of my attempt at a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Ultra Sun. To see what I define as
Very
hardcore
nice.
Nuzlocke rules, check out the description below. But in short, no items in battle, no overleveling past the gym leader's ace, and we're playing on set mode.
That's pretty basic. Let's rewind there. So his rule set's basically no overleveling past the level of the next gym leader's ace / totem Pokemon. So he's doing what I did in my Nuzlocke. Actually, is he... I wonder if he's actually counting like the Kahunas themselves as level caps as well. Or if he's just counting totem Pokemon. We'll find out.
Past the gym leader's ace, and we're playing on set mode. In most of my hardcore Nuzlocke videos, I have some sort of additional set of rules to make the hardcore Nuzlocke even harder than it already is. Usually it's a monotype run or some sort of theme that limits the Pokemon that I can catch. But in
Makes
this
sense.
video, it's just a plain old regular run-of-the-mill hardcore Nuzlocke. And there's a couple reasons for that. For one, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon are easily the hardest Pokemon games to Nuzlocke, outside
They
of
are.
ROM hacks, of course.
They definitely are. I wonder... He'll probably get into this, but I wonder if he's gonna eliminate Z moves, because those do help make the game more manageable. Me myself, when I did my hardcore Nuzlocke, I didn't have Z moves. I make the game more challenging for myself in that sense. I'm actually very curious to see what he does.
They're the only mainline Pokemon game where trainers before the post-game have fully EV trained Pokemon. Almost every named character in the game uses Pokemon with near perfect IVs that have been strategically EV trained.
You know, I actually went into the game blind, so I didn't know that. I actually didn't know that everything was like EV trained. I'm just a special boy.
In addition to that, the totem challenges in the Alola region pit you against very powerful totem Pokemon that often get Omni boosts at the start of the battle and can call upon allies to make the battle a 2-on-1.
Yeah.
So it requires a lot of strategy to complete.
That makes it even more challenging, the
Nuzlocke of these
2-on-1.
games. The other reason I didn't include any extra rules is because Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon are the only main series Pokemon games that I've never played. I wasn't a huge fan of Sun and Moon, and then when Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon came out, I just kinda didn't buy them. Honestly, I was content never having played these games.
That was a solid
in
meme.
blissful ignorance. But then I got a DM from another Poketuber named Chaotic Meatball, who suggested that we both play Ultra Sun and see how well we do. So here we are with my first ever playthrough of Pokemon Ultra Sun.
Yeah. So from what I remember, I think he was actually doing a race with Chaotic Meatball. Yeah, he was doing a race with Chaotic Meatball. Shout out to Chaotic Meatball. He's also a really solid Nuzlocker. And I think Flygon actually won that. I'm going to change the chat box here.
So I'll be able to re-roll encounters until I get a unique encounter, but I can only use one of each unique
Species
evolution.
Clause is
Also, this
definitely a way to
challenge had
play.
a few extra rules specifically for Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Pokemon Ami was not allowed, but Z moves were.
Okay, so Z moves are allowed, no Pokemon at me. So essentially he kind of cut himself off from Sylveon in a way. I mean, Pokemon Ami is a very, very broken feature. I mean, I personally even banned it, but I used Vaporeon, so even if I wanted Sylveon, like, I probably would have adjusted just to do that, but still, Vaporeon was always like my go-to in that game because of Water Absorb.
Also banned Island Scan and whatever SOS chaining is. As always, a full
That's
list
fair.
of rules is in the description below. So, without
Island scan is very interesting because you can get like starters from the other regions. You can get Pokemon from the regions, and it can be it can definitely become a broken thing. SOS chaining, I never used it either. So
further ado, let's see how this goes. Naturally, I start the game by choosing my Wait, there's a cutscene.
yeah,
Okay. A little girl dressed like a widow who vacations at Martha's Vineyard is running away from some scientists. Oh, look, okay, that spaceman wants to give her a hug. But she doesn't
that
seem
space.
really into it.
That's
Now
hilarious.
her bag is glowing. And, a title card. Very
Yeah.
cinematic. Well, that...
Yeah. So Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, I actually really love the at least my first playthrough. I loved the cutscenes. Doing it multiple attempts sucks. And I think in particular Sun and Moon was worse in that sense because it just took you longer to get your starter. That was a trog to get through. If you're going to do a Nuzlocke of Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, just be prepared for all the cutscenes. Because it's basically going to be... The whole intro of the game is probably like an hour long if you're not on emulator and speeding up. So just be prepared for that.
Okay, now we're slowly panning through my room. Poliwhirl rug, Pikachu doll, pincer blankets. Seems like my character is a die-hard Gen 1er. You know...
I mean, he's from... I mean, the whole character is from Kanto. So, I mean, yeah, it is a bit excessive.
You know what? Let's just cut to picking my starter several minutes later.
Mm-hmm.
I can choose between who...
It's a lot faster than Sun and Moon. That's for sure.
Eventually, I pick Rowlet because it's the only starter that I like from this generation. Poplio belongs in the ocean, not dragging its stomach across miles of gravel following a 10-year-old around. And Litten evolves into Incineroar, who makes me uncomfortable. I name our new Rowlet...
Okay. It's funny. Me personally, I think Rowlet's my least favorite. I like Rowlet up until it becomes Decidueye. My personal favorite is the Poplio line, especially because it's really powerful. It gets the fairy typing. It's really solid for a Nuzlocke. Incineroar is also really cool as well. I have a personal love for it because I'm a professional wrestling fan. So that's kind of like my go-tos are typically those two.
At Owl Olympics, and then our journey begins.
Owl Olympics. I like it. I like the name.
Dialogue. Before I have time to think, though, I'm interrupted by my rival Hao, who wants a battle with the new Pokemon we just got. But as with many of the rivals in later Pokemon games, Hao graduated from the Weenie Hut School for Rivals, so he chooses a Poplio. Owl Olympics also starts with Fage, so it's pretty easy to take him out.
The fairy typing can be dangerous later
major
on.
And minor battles with characters that some might call important if you're using the loosest definition of the word important. So for the sake of time, I just really can't cover all of them. So this is going to be the last fight that you see with Hao for quite some time.
That's... Well, oh man, I actually kind of wish I wanted to see how he handled the second Hao fight. When you get to the new town, he has a Tauros. Actually, not the second one. It's the third Hao fight. When you get to the third island, I want to see how he handles that fight because that's a hard one. He'll have a Tauros. His starter's definitely harder. It would have been cool to see.
Most of them are pretty easy. Here's a list of other major battles that I'll be skipping.
Whoa! Okay. Wait, whoa. Okay, so how to Dexio. Dexio's worthless. Like, if you have a dark type, you can handle him really easily. How 3, definitely 1. I wanted not How 3. Wait, yeah. No. Yeah, I think it's How 3. No. Maybe it's How 4. Gladion 1, that's a pretty easy fight. You could sweep the first Gladion fight if you're careful with it. Dulce, yeah. That's fine. Plumeria. The Guzma... okay, so no, he doesn't skip the first Guzma fight. Okay, so Guzma fight number 2. Guzma fight number 1 is super important. Guzma fight number 2 is definitely repetitive. Wow. He skips Guzma 3? I don't know about him skipping Guzma 3. That's a really, really tough fight as well. I wanted to see how he handled that. Malo. Okay, so he's skipping the Mina, Malo, Kawe. Okay, so he's skipping all those fights, which I can definitely see kind of being a little repetitive. I personally skipped those as well unless I like lost a Pokemon, which I did. One to Malo and then one to Kawe, but it's fine. It didn't hurt too much. And then Gladion 3. Gladion 3, yeah, I could see that being skippable. The Guzma fights are just, they're hard. Like, they're just hard. Unless you have, like, a rhythm and you have, like, a Pokemon with Water Absorb. But Flygon is a very, very smart Nuzlocker. So I'm very excited to see what he does.
Skipping. Okay, now it's time for encounters. In Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, Route 1 is massive. Using normal Nuzlocke rules, you'd only be allowed to get one encounter from Route 1, since even though there are different sub-areas, they all show up as Route 1 in the Pokemon stat page. This means that your Route 1 encounter is your starter. Normally, this would be fine, you just gotta wait until the next route. Unfortunately, there is a battle in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon with the head of the trainer school on Route 1, and you can't leave Route 1 until you beat her. And
so this is why I play with the sub-routes as well. And I count my starter separately. If you don't play like that, then you're essentially going in with just one. And that becomes very challenging in terms of keeping level cap as well. Especially since the teacher has the starter you are weak against. It just becomes tough.
She has a Pokemon with a guaranteed super effective move against your starter.
Exactly.
In my case, she has a Litten. So with a hardcore level cap, it's virtually impossible to beat this trainer with just your starter.
Yeah. So not only that, you have to be within the level cap of 12. If he counted Ilima as a level cap, the level cap would have been 11. So a one jump level cap is really not that feasible in a way, which makes this game really, really interesting to hardcore early on. Like, it's tough to hardcore this game in the beginning. You have to find your rhythm. You have to find strats that work for you. And, you know, he got his Slowpoke. Slowpoke and Wingull are very, very good. If he got Inkay, that would have been a little more challenging. He'll have a little bit of a challenge with Ilima's Smeargle coming up. So let's see how he handles this fight.
So I've decided to make an exception here, which from my understanding is pretty standard. Although Owlipix is my encounter for Route 1 proper,
it's very standard, yeah.
I catch a Slowpoke from Route 1 Howley outskirts. With these new encounters, Spectator in particular, the head of the trainer school is fairly easy to take out.
Nice.
Litten goes down to just 3 water guns. Next we head to Howley City and find a Magnemite. As usual...
He says Magnemite. I love it. I'll say Magnemite because the anime taught me to say that. But no, Magnemite's actually really, really solid. And once you get to the third island, you can actually evolve it once you get to like the power plant area, which will be really, really solid. Magnemite is so good, and it will come in handy, especially for the Mimikyu trial, the Ghost trial.
I name our new Magnemite Shot Put, and he joins the team.
Okay.
Now it's time to take on the first trial captain, which is the Alola region's version of gym leaders. Each trial captain makes you do a trial challenge where you face a giant totem Pokemon.
Yeah.
The level of the next totem Pokemon is usually what determines the current level cap. But occasionally, before doing the trial challenge, you have to fight the trial captain. If all of this seems confusing to you, that's because it is.
It's a little confusing. Then you got the Island Kahunas. I wonder if he's actually gonna set each level cap from like Totem to Island Kahunas. That's a lot like the last like big gym leader type-esque fight.
The game has so much stuff to do, and deciding how to set up a Nuzlocke around it is actually really annoying. But either way,
very annoying.
Isn't too much of a problem, and we're able to win the battle.
Not too much of a Not too much of a problem. I really wish you chose the. I mean, okay, not everyone is me. Okay, I get it. I had such a huge issue with Ilima that it would have been really, really cool to see how he handled that particular fight. I can maybe make a guess that he probably Smeargle, he definitely couldn't use Rowlet against Smeargle because it had Ember. It just would have been a cool thing to see. When someone breezes through a battle you struggle with, yeah. I mean, what I love about watching Flygon and like really good Nuzlockers is like seeing how they like play the game and seeing their particular strategies with it. But yeah, I'm not saying like every Nuzlocker needs to show every little thing. I personally think it would have been cool to see the Olima fight play out.
I decided that it's okay if a Pokemon levels past the level cap during the trial.
Oh yeah.
So, by the time we get to the first totem Pokemon, a massive Gumshoos, whose defense has been buffed, JV Captain has already gained a level.
Oh, okay, I get what he means. Okay. So, I counted basically, like, for this example, I have to be level 12 when I fight the totem Pokemon. So, I went in kind of a couple levels under, because I knew it was going to gain me a couple levels. I played with the very, like, big... Like, I was very aware of the experience, and managed the experience around the trial. There's nothing wrong with what he did either. I think that's very fair, because you could also say the same thing with the Elite Four. Like, you go in with the level cap in the Elite Four, but once you're in the Elite Four, you can go over that level cap because your Pokemon are just going to gain that experience. So it's a very fair way of playing.
We also picked up the TM for Brick Break.
Yeah.
So this ends up being a fairly easy fight. JV Cap.
Brick Break being in the first trial area is insanely broken. This game wants you to win, essentially.
And is pre-poisoned since he has guts. So after
Good.
tanking a tackle, a Brick Break nearly knocks out Gumshoos in one shot. Gumshoos then calls a Young Goose as an ally, so now it's a 2-on-1. I switch to Shot Put and tank another tackle. Then a Magnet Bomb kills Gumshoos. 2 more Magnet Bombs finish off the little Young Goose, and with that, we've completed our first trial.
Very simple.
Trial on Melee Island, so now it's time to take on the island Kahuna in the first grand trial, which is basically just like a battle against a gym leader. So that becomes the new level cap now.
Okay,
There's
cool.
more to the island to explore.
He does
that,
make
though,
16
so
that
we get
cap.
A few more
Good.
encounters. In Verdant Cave, I catch a Noibat and name her Simone Biles. In Melee Meadows, I catch a Caterpie
Nice.
and name him Michael Phelps.
Michael Phelps,
And
get the
lastly,
Caterpie.
on Route
Nice.
3, I catch a Mankey and name him Judo.
Nice.
Now, I don't have a particularly elegant transition into this next bit because I'm missing a bit of footage. But before fighting the island Kahuna,
Ooh. Okay, yeah. This is definitely a little bit of a challenging fight. It's important you fight him, especially if you want Roost, which with him having Rowlet and Zubat, Roost will be a very important thing. The only thing is, Butterfree is dangerous here. It has Silver Wind, which it typically doesn't get at that level. The odds of it Omni boosting, the Butterfree can get Omni boosted with Silver Wind, and it can just become insanely powerful.
who will only fight you after you fought every other trainer on the route.
You know, I should
There's
let
2
him
of these
explain
ace
stuff
trainers
more.
throughout the game, and each one will give you a TM for beating them. Now, viewer, as I've already said, I've never played Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon before. If I had played these games before, I would have known that these ace trainers are very, very powerful.
Yeah.
Not only do these trainers have Pokemon at pretty high levels relative to where they are in the game, their Pokemon also usually have max IVs, and they're usually
I didn't know
also
that.
fully EV trained, and they usually have pretty strong moves. In case of ace trainer Makana's Butterfree, it also has its hidden ability, which is Tinted Lens. meaning that its not very effective moves do double damage. I knew exactly this. So
I didn't
imagine
know
being
that.
surprised.
That explains why Butterfree hits like a truck sometimes. That explains a lot, actually. See, I learned a lot of new stuff when I watch Flygon. I love it. I love it.
And shot put into a resisted Silverwind and lose over half my health. But that's not even the fun part. The fun part is that this Butterfree also got the 10% Omni boost from Silverwind, meaning that this Tinted Lens, Perfect IV, Max Special Attack EV's Butterfree is juiced up and ready to destroy my team. I believe that the scientific term for this is that I am f***ed. Now fortunately, this Butterfree only knows Silverwind and Roost. Since Silverwind only has 5 PP, it can only hit me 4 more times.
Yeah.
Viewers with weak constitution may want to look away for this next bit. It's a massacre, a bloodbath. Butterfree is Mothra, and my poor Pokemon are expendable civilians. Bits and pieces of my Pokemon are being scattered across the battlefield left and right as Silverwinds tear through them. Sotomayor is able to tank a single Silverwind since he quad resists it, so it's only Judo, Gatlin, and Spectator that fall. Rest well, you beautiful souls. Thank you for your sacrifice.
Yeah.
Once
If you had to
Butterfree is
play
on
around
slow wins, I
that,
just stall
then
it out of
dang.
roosts, and then a combination of recoil from Struggle and Pex from Olympics finish it off.
Yeah, very smart. Very
That
smart
was
way to get
brutal.
around that.
Well, when Bruce Wayne fell into a cave full of bats as a child, he faced his greatest nightmare by becoming the Batman. So, after I lost half my team to a Butterfree, I decided to face my nightmare by evolving Michael Phelps into Metapod, and then into a Butterfree of my own.
Yeah. Now, Butterfree, I love Butterfree. Once you get Tauros, you can go back to where the Gumshoe trial is, and you can get Thief. And then, because of Compound Eyes, it increases the chances of finding wild Pokemon with items. So, you can use Thief to get Metal Coat from Magnemites. You can use it to get Leftovers easier from Munchlaxes. You can use it to get Black Sludge from Grimers. Like, it's a very useful ability, combining Compound Eyes and Thief.
And with that, it's time to face Hala for the Melee Island Grand Trial.
Yeah.
But since I'm basically a flying type trainer right now, this is pretty easy.
Oh yeah,
Hala leads
definitely
Machop,
easy.
And I lead Michael Phelps.
Butterfree's
Machop uses Focus Energy,
an easy
and then
sweep.
I put it to sleep with the Sleep Powder. Hala uses a full restore as I hit a Gust.
Mhm.
So then I hit another Sleep Powder. And then another Gust knocks it out.
Yeah.
Makuhita is second. And
The Sleep Powder
immediately hits
definitely
Michael
didn't
Phelps with a fake out.
matter too
Then I put
much,
it to
but
sleep with
it's
Sleep
fine.
Powder. I hit it with a Gust, and then Makuhita wakes up and
Dang,
hits
a
another
first
Gust.
turn wake
So I
up
put it
though,
back
that
to sleep.
sucks.
And then I go for a Roost as it sleeps. A final
Yeah,
Gust
that's
knocks
solid.
out the Makuhita, and then the last Pokemon for Hala is Crabrawler. He outspeeds to hit a Pursuit, but then I put it to sleep with Sleep Powder. Then I Roost to heal up. Crabrawler wakes up and hits another Pursuit, but 2 Gusts from Michael Phelps are enough to knock it out.
Yeah,
And that wins us a pretty easy grand trial.
very solid.
With Hala defeated, we can now go to Akala Island. But first, I go to 10 Carrot Hill and catch a Carbink,
Ooh.
aka the carry of this run.
Okay.
Carbink is an absolute defensive
Carbink
tank
is super
who's
solid,
team
yeah.
strike too. Welcome to the team, Medalist.
Carbink is great.
On Akala Island, Olympics evolves into Dartrix. And then I get an Eevee egg from the daycare. It
Good.
hatches in Paniola Town, and I name him Ashton Eaton.
Ooh,
For now, I just put
it's
him into the box
adamant.
until I decide what I want to evolve him into. About 4, and I name her Javelin. I also catch a Mudbray at Paniola Ranch.
Mudbray's very solid.
Unfortunately, she doesn't have the ability Stamina, which is quite good. So I just name her Sprinter. That's a little bit of running humor for my fellow runners out there.
I like it.
Then Pikipek evolves into Trombeak, and now it's time to take on Lana's water trial.
Mm.
Lana's trial requires me to fight a totem Araquanid.
Fun fact before going into the trial, since it's his like first playthrough, I definitely wouldn't have expected him to know this or even try it. But once you start the island trial, you'll get the page rider for Lapras. You can actually leave the trial and then go back to the previous islands to get encounters you've missed. You can actually surf and get basically like a Bagon or a Rattata, which Rattata is very, very important for a Necrozma fight. And then you can also get like a Tentacool from the beaches. Like there's so many other encounters that open up for your own Nuzlocks. Definitely think about utilizing that, because you don't actually need to complete the trial before you can use that page rider.
It's also
I'm very
rain.
curious to see how he handles
So thanks to
Arachnoid.
Rain and Araquanid's water bubble ability, its water moves do stupid amounts of damage.
Mm-hmm.
I lead Michael Phelps and instantly put the Araquanid to sleep.
Good.
Annoyingly, it can still call allies in its sleep, so
Yeah.
a tiny Jupiter comes out. On the next turn, I do a silly dance, and Michael Phelps uses his flying type Z move, Supersonic Strike, which does a good chunk of damage. Unfortunately, Araquanid wakes up and hits Michael Phelps with a bubble. Baby Jupiter also hits a bubble.
Yeah.
That's really good damage considering that bubble has a base power of 40.
Yeah. This is also kind of why I find it important to use the page rider before going into the trial, because then you can actually get Poliwag, which has water absorb. What I did was I would basically like poison and then switch out. That actually helps eliminate like bubble doing serious amounts of damage.
I put the Araquanid back to sleep and get hit with another bubble from Jupiter, which thankfully doesn't crit. On the next turn, I go for a Roost as Araquanid mercifully stays asleep, and I get hit by another bubble from Jupiter. I go for another Roost, and luckily Araquanid stays asleep again. Then I go for a Gust.
He's lucky he
but
didn't get
Araquanid
speed
hangs
drops.
on with just a sliver, and then it wakes up. So a double bubble from Araquanid and Baby Jupiter take out Michael Phelps.
Yeah.
You'd think that the Pokemon named Michael Phelps wouldn't be felled by water, but so it goes. Rest well, buddy.
Yeah.
I bring out Trombeak, who kills the Arachnid with a Pluck. And then after getting hit by a bubble, Pluck finishes off the baby Dupitor. And that's the water trial completed. During Lana's
That's
trial,
good. Yeah.
I got the ability to
That's
surf
very
on
solid.
La Pra, so that lets me get a few more.
La Pra. That's great. And like I said, he definitely didn't know this, but you can actually use the page writer before even completing the trial.
From here, I have to do whatever the hell this is. There's a guy that I've definitely never seen before wearing some sort of Mucha Lucha.
Yeah,
mask,
this part's
as well as Gladion and Hao.
a little
And we
annoying.
each have one Pokemon in what looks like this feral cage match free-for-all. I'll be honest, I didn't really pay attention when they were babbling through the cutscenes that led up to the battle. And the battle also started immediately after the cutscene, which I unwittingly activated by walking into the building. So I was not remotely prepared for this. Sprinter happened to be at the front of the party when I walked into the building, so he's the one that comes out.
Yeah.
I was told by my Twitch chat that the battle would end as soon as one of the other Pokemon gets knocked out. So I go for Bulldozes to knock out the Rockruff. Turns out that Rockruff has Protect, and it uses it a lot.
Yeah.
So it takes way longer to kill it than it should have. Had I just focused on double kicking type Null, I definitely could have ended this battle much faster.
He's definitely lucky
I
Brion
nearly
didn't
killed
go
the
for
Rockruff after
any
2 turns of Protect
attacks
stalling,
on
but
it.
unfortunately, type Null finishes off Sprinter before the
Oh.
battle ends.
Oh,
It sucks. Rest well, little cow.
that's
You
rough,
will be missed.
especially before the Marowak trial.
But let's not beat a dead cow. Time to move on.
Wishy-washy,
I catch a Wishy-Washy on Route 7.
Best
and then
encounter.
Swim team. Or is it them?
best
I
encounter.
don't really understand Wishy-Washy's whole deal. Like, do I own the entire school of fish that form the monster Wishy-Washy? Or do I
That's a
just
good
own
question.
a single Wishy-Washy, and then every time its schooling ability activates, a bunch of other Wishy-Washy in the nearest body of water fly to the battlefield like Thor's hammer? Or
Fair.
does the main Wishy-Washy temporarily create additional Wishy-Washy out of thin air and form a school that way? Do those newly created Wishy-Washy have thoughts? Do they have aspirations, hopes, and dreams? Are there sentient minds just trapped in their bodies that they have no control of, forever doomed to be an expendable cog in a war machine?
I feel like, Flygon, I feel like we should just, like, get in a circle, like in that 70s show, and just, like, pass around the Mary Jane, and just, like, have these existential conversations. I love that 70s show a lot. That's just what that reminded me of. I'm going to turn chat off. Now, him getting a Salandit
It's
here
male, so it can't evolve.
is pretty
I
sucky.
DNF. Then I start
But
shooting for
male Salandit can have its uses, especially in the electric trial. Corrosion, insane ability, guys. Insane ability. Able to poison types and steel types. It learns Toxic really early on, too. So you could Toxic, and then you could stall out the Tokenomaru. It's insane.
Training in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon is incredibly painful.
It
Because
can
of
be,
the
yeah.
EXP mechanics, training on low-level Pokemon takes forever.
Yeah.
But because most routes have a wide variety of Pokemon, training in an area of reasonably leveled Pokemon can be pretty dangerous. Example, while training JV Captain, I run into a Magby. I try to run, but JV Captain is too slow. So Magby locks me in with a fire spin.
Oh no,
and
this
so
is
now I can't
dangerous.
escape or switch. So I try to kill the Magby with a Brick Break, but it leaves it with a Sliver.
And
So
then
the wild
you also
Magby
got
calls another Magby.
the scary
And just
thing
like
of,
that, JV
oh
Captain
yeah,
is dead
yeah,
to a wild Magby.
the possibility of getting burned on top of that because of Flame Body. Oh my gosh, that's a sucky way to lose a Pokemon for sure.
Didn't actually get the footage of her dying, but yeah, JV Captain dies. I also accidentally lose Swim Team the Wishy-Washy during some training.
Oh,
which I also
no.
didn't record. I just wasn't paying attention and lost him to a quick attack from a Fletchling, and we aren't even off the second island.
Yeah,
Losing one Pokemon to a baby
This is pretty
Pokemon
rough.
and another to a foreign regional bird Pokemon was really the 1-2 punch that made me realize that I need to slow down and be a bit more cautious.
yeah.
So
I wonder how we. I know we're gonna see this in a bit, but Wishy-Washy was a very important Pokemon to fight Kawaii with, and so is Gyarados, honestly. Especially if you're able to get Bounce on Gyarados. It'll be really interesting. This will be very interesting to see what he does here.
for the rest of the game, I make sure to read walkthroughs before each chunk of the game so that I know exactly what's coming and when.
Mm-hmm.
From here,
That's a good way to do it.
Solmayor evolves into Golbat, and Diver evolves into Gyarados. Now it's time for Kiawe's Fire Trial. The puzzle involves me watching a lowland Marowak dance around in a circle, and then, honestly, I have no idea. For the life of me, I could not understand what I was supposed to do during this trial. I just didn't read the cutscene that explained the instructions.
Yeah,
There's so many
essentially you're just
freaking
supposed to spot
cutscenes
the
in this game,
differences.
and it's really impossible to tell which ones are important. Thankfully, Twitch
Yeah.
chat held my hand and guided my toddler-sized brain through it, which led me to the totem.
You could also,
Marowak.
there is also a
This
show
thing gets +2 speed
again
at the start
option
of
in case you
battle,
did miss
it's
it,
able
so
to
then
outspeed
you can
Sotomayor.
realize it's spot the
It
difference.
also
But
uses a cheeky
it works.
detect turn 1 to block my attack, and then call a Salazzle for support. Salazzle moves first and uses Torment. and then
Salazzle
Marowak
is
hits
so
a nasty
dangerous.
Flame Wheel. But then Sotomayor uses Thief to steal the Marowak's Thick Club.
Good.
This will make it do significantly less damage on subsequent turns.
Now I'm sure he'll go into this more, but like yeah, Salazzle is like such a dangerous Pokemon. It can poison you with poison gas. Marowak has Hex, which will do more damage to Pokemon who have status elements. And also, Salazzle hits like a freaking truck, but it's a glass cannon. So meaning like it's really strong, but also really weak defensively. So you can actually take it out pretty easily.
Drop with
Intimidate's very
So
important
Flame
here.
Burst and the Flame Wheel from Salazzle and Marowak really don't do much on the Switch. On the next turn, Marowak attacks, Salazzle hits a Poison Gas, and Diver knocks out the Salazzle with a Supersonic Strike.
Okay.
Then I switch to Metalist, who shakes off a Hex like it was nothing.
Yeah.
Then Marowak and Metalist just trade attacks back and forth until Marowak's Cursed ability activates, disabling Metalist's only attacking move. So I set up a Reflect as Marowak keeps using Hex.
That's
Then
smart.
I use Sharpen until Smackdown is no longer disabled. And then a final
Really
Smackdown
smart.
finishes off the Marowak. And that's Kiawe's trial completed. Look at
No
how
deaths.
happy Metalist is.
That's
He's
actually
so
huge.
cute. From Route 5, I catch an Alolan Diglett. And
Alolan
an
Diglett's
Hibiscus.
pretty
Then
good.
Skater evolves into Masquerain. So now I have 2 Pokemon with Intimidate, which
Yeah.
is pretty nice.
That is really
Now it's time
nice.
for Mallow's Grass Trial, which pits you against a Totem Lurantis. Now this Lurantis trial is notorious for being really difficult, with many people saying that it's nearly impossible to beat it without losing at least one Pokemon.
You can beat it without losing a Pokemon. You just have to like be really aware. What I did was I used Honalucha. Every time I got a Spearow, I would trade it for Honalucha, and then there was a couple times where I got lucky and I was able to actually catch Honalucha. And essentially, Honalucha honestly is a really important Pokemon, just kind of the whole beginning of the game, because you can use Work Up and it boosts attack and special attack, and then it can learn Roost. So essentially, all you have to do is just make sure you take out the supporting Pokemon, and then just keep like boosting your attack and roosting whenever it got really low. And then you can actually like continue on that fight. So Lurantis is very tedious because the supporting Pokemon can heal it, and because Lurantis can basically boost its defense, and it just becomes a really bulky Pokemon. It's by no means a walk in the park, but it's a very doable fight. Let's see how he does it.
Clearly don't know what a Zubat is, because Zubat has quad resistance to every single one of Lurantis' attacks.
That's fair.
So it's not going to be doing much to our Crobat. Now, the ally Pokemon can be a bit of an issue, but if you damage Lurantis by at least 1/3 of its health on the first turn, which can be done with a Cross Poison, it'll call Comfey before it calls Kecleon.
Oh,
Comfey's only attacking
I actually
move
didn't know
is
that.
Magical Leaf, which doesn't do anything to Crobat.
If it called
either.
Kecleon, it
does
would have
have
been
Flower
super
Shield to
dangerous
boost
because
Lurantis'
of
defense,
Ancient Power.
and Floral Healing to heal the Lurantis, which is a bit annoying since Lurantis also knows Synthesis, but by slapping a Scope
Or no,
Worms
Rock
on
Tomb,
the
I'm sorry.
Crobat and spamming Cross Poison, you can make your chance of getting a critical hit go up to 50%. You might not get as lucky as I do.
That's
where I
pretty
actually
fair.
get 3 critical hits in a row, but a well-prepared Crobat makes this pretty hard to lose.
Yeah.
That's Mallow's trial completed.
Crobat,
Now it's
Honalucha,
time for Akala Island's
super
grand
good.
trial, and so now it's time for the battle against Olivia. She leads Anorith.
Yeah, this will
and
be
I
an
lead
interesting
Metalist.
fight.
Anorith uses Metal Claw, which is quad super effective against Metalist, but because critical hits are times 1.5 instead of times 2 in these later generations, this is always safe. So Metalist is able to safely set up a Stealth Rocks. Then I switch to Shot Put, who tanks
Still
a Metal
look
Claw.
like
Anorith uses Bug Bite as
it's
Shot Put
dangerous.
hits a Thunder Wave. Then Olivia uses a full heal as I set up a Reflect. So I go for another Thunder Wave, but I miss. A third Thunder Wave connects though.
Yeah, I
Then
think
switch
Thunder
to
Wave is
Skater,
lower
who gets an
accuracy in
Intimidate
the
drop
newer
as
games.
Anorith gets fully paralyzed. Then I switch to Archery as Anorith uses Smackdown. Then I use Lucky Chant so that Anorith can't get a critical hit and bypass the attack drops. This allows me to
Still
safely
did
hit
a
Anorith
lot.
with a Charm on the next turn. So now it's at -3. Then I switch to Discus, who is now pretty safe to set up workups and raise our attack.
Oh, that's what he's
Banner
doing.
is doing
Okay.
very little damage with its
Workups,
attacks,
definitely
and
an
Discus is
important
gaining
fight.
HP back with
Definitely
leftovers.
important.
Discus also knows Protect, so I can safely gain additional HP back from leftovers if I need to.
Leftovers,
After I get
Protect.
6
Yeah, yeah,
workups
yeah.
off,
He's
Discus takes out
set.
the Anorith with a
He's
bulldoze.
definitely set.
Lileap comes in next, and I instantly use Protect to gain some additional HP back from leftovers, though at this point it doesn't really matter. Thanks to Metalist's hard work setting up Stealth Rocks at the beginning of the game, Bulldoze is a guaranteed kill on the Lileap from this HP. So last is Lycanrock, who we outspeed and kill with a final Bulldoze. And that's Olivia defeated.
Yeah, solid.
Soon after this, Shot Put evolves into Magneton. After that, we dock at the island of Ula Ula. There's a good deal of encounters here, but the only one that matters is this big girl from Route 10. I name her Judo before realizing that we actually have a dead Mankey
He
named
definitely
Judo.
knows.
So I change her name to Taekwondo a little bit later. Taekwondo the Raticate will be important later.
Yeah.
Now it's time to take
He
on
knows.
Sophocles' Electric Trial, which pits us against a
Oh, he's using Slazzle.
It gets a +2
Solid.
defense stat at the start of the game.
Or not Slazzle,
but
Slammed
ground
it.
moves are still going to be doing a lot to it.
Oh,
I lead
I would've-
Diver to get
he
the
should've led with
Intimidate
it.
attack drop. This also baits a Zing Zap, which gives me a free switch into Discus. Then Togedemaru calls Skarmory for support. From here, it's a series of using Protect and Bulldoze to try to kill the Togedemaru. What's annoying is that Skarmory uses Torment, so that I can't actually use the same move twice in a row.
Yeah, that is pretty
and
annoying.
Togedemaru also spams Spiky Shield, rather unpredictably, I might add.
Yeah.
And Discus isn't exactly the bulkiest Pokemon.
Male Slandit can't evolve, which is why he still has Slandit, because it's a male. I personally would have led with Slandit, even if he used the King Shield and protected like that. Next turn, you can still poison, and then if you get lucky, you could even poison Skarmory and stall.
At one point, I switch in Diver to get another Intimidate off, but I can only do that once because Skarmory set up Stealth Rocks. So it's pretty hard to get the timing right, and this ends up taking a lot longer than I thought. I actually get pretty close to losing Discus, thanks to Togedemaru getting a flinch with Iron Head, and Torment
Flinching
trapping
is
me into a pretty
super
unfortunate
dangerous.
series of hitting into Protects. But a few turns later, I get off a workup for free, and then 2 more Bulldozes knock out Togedemaru. The last thing to do is to switch to Shot Put, and then knock out the Skarmory with a Charge Beam. Well, actually, it survives a Charge Beam, but thanks to the special attack boost we get, a Flash Cannon finishes it off on the next turn, completing the trial. On Team Skull Leader
Alright,
Guzma.
this is a
This is one of the
very
few
hard fight.
non-totem fights that I'll show, because I think it's hilarious. Fun fact, Guzma's incredibly intimidating Golisopod can be completely cheesed by any Pokemon with the ability Water Absorb.
True.
And guess who has the ability Water Absorb?
Very true.
That's right, our level 17 Mantike named Surfer. So Golisopod only knows Sucker Punch, Razor Shell, and First Impression.
Yeah.
First Impression is similar to Fake Out in that it only works on the first turn of the battle. Sucker Punch only works if you use an attacking move. And of course, Razor Shell.
You have to make
can't
sure
do anything
Razor
to
Shell
Surfer
hits you,
because of
though.
Water Absorb. So by spamming Protect until Golisopod runs out of Sucker Punch PP, we can safely and slowly whittle down the Golisopod with Wing Attacks and Confuse Ray. And what's funny is that because Golisopod hits himself in Confusion to go under 50%,
Oh,
his
no
ability
emergency exit.
doesn't activate.
That's
So
huge.
Surfer is able to fully
That's
knock out
actually
Golisopod
huge.
all on her own. After that, Guzma's second and last Pokemon is Masquerain, which actually hits surprisingly hard with 252 special attack EVs.
Yeah, no, that
Look at
thing's
how much
a
this Air
beast.
Slash does to Diver on the switch in. So after that, I switch to Shot Put. And then I hit it with a Charge Beam, but a Bug Buzz puts us in critical hit range. So I need to switch to Metalist, and then I finally finish it off with an Ancient Power.
Yeah.
After this,
Pretty
Ula
easy
Ula
for him.
opens up,
Nice.
And we get a few more encounters. Then it's time for
I'm
Acid
very
Roller's
curious to see how
Ghost
it handles
Trial against
Mimikyu.
the Totem Mimikyu. This can be pretty tricky. Because of Mimikyu's ability, we can never one-shot it. Mimikyu also gets an Omni Boost at the start of the battle, which makes things pretty scary. Fortunately, I have a plan. I lead Skater, who gets off an Intimidate to bring Mimikyu's attack back
Does
into
it have
neutral.
Thief?
This allows Skater to survive a Play Rough, even if it crits, so that she's able to U-turn to break Mimikyu's disguise and get Shot Put in safely. I actually didn't know that this wasn't added until Gen 8, intentionally to debuff the ability. And I was kind of banking on that 1/8, because it would have guaranteed that Shot Put can kill Mimikyu in one shot with a Corkscrew Crash Z move. Instead, Mimikyu hangs on with essentially 1 HP.
That's liver.
Fortunately, we're still able to finish it off on the next turn with a Flash Cannon,
cool.
and there was no real harm done. But that could have
Mimikyu
gone a
was-
lot worse if the ally Bayonet had used Curse, or if Mimikyu got a
Mimikyu
crit or
was
something
super
like that.
dangerous.
Anyways, after that, Diver comes in and just finishes off the Bayonet with a Crunch, completing Acerola's trial. and Croc Climber evolves into Crocodile.
He's got
And
some
now it's
really
time to
solid
take on
Pokemon.
Ula Ula Island Kahuna, Nanu, for the third grand trial.
Nanu can
I
be
lead
tricky.
Sableye, and I lead Vashti. I start with a Protect to avoid damage from Fake Out.
Mhm.
Then I just start doing damage with Crunch as Sableye retaliates with some weak Shadow Balls. A few turns of back and forth, and then Sableye goes down.
Nice. That was on
Nanu sends
range.
out Krokorok second. It hits a very hard Earthquake, but then it goes down to a Brick Break. Nanu's Alolan
Ooh,
Persian
does he
is
just
last,
sweep?
And I start by protecting to avoid the Fake Out.
No, Persian's
And then,
faster.
even though we're at pretty low health, I stay in.
No
because
way!
Persian really can't do much damage.
Okay,
I take
yeah,
a
no,
Power
he
Gem,
resists
and
rock.
I hit a pretty hard Brick Break.
Okay.
Then I switch to Shot Put, who tanks another Power Gem. I won't survive a critical hit from Persian's Dark-type Z move.
Yeah,
though,
if
so I
Persian
switch to
led with that
Catalyst,
Dark-type
who
Z
very
move,
easily tanks a non-critical hit Black Hole Eclipse.
Scraftree
after a
would
turn
have
of
been
using
dead, for
Protect to
sure.
recover HP from leftovers, Metalist finishes off Persian with an Ancient Power. And that's Nanu defeated. I decide to get Ashton Eaton the Eevee out of the box and evolve him into a Vaporeon so that I can use his Water Absorb ability in my last fight against Guzma.
That is
But
going
I'm
to be
just
pretty
gonna
huge.
skip that fight as well. However,
Yeah.
I will show the fight against Lusamine.
Wait, although to be fair, while Guzma's Gold Spot can be pretty tricky, Vikavolt is really challenging, especially with Levitate. And then you got the Pinsir, which has fighting moves. It has a move that can crit constantly. Pinsir and Vikavolt make that battle a lot harder. So I personally kind of wish he didn't skip that, but if he didn't have an issue with it, then that's awesome. That's really great.
The lady dressed in all white in charge of a cryptic futuristic company is evil? That is quite the revelation. An
True.
absolute plot twist. I'm really gonna need to sit with that one for a second. My mind is blown. Wow. Okay, well anyways, the fight against
Alright.
the ultra secret villain Lusamine. She leads with a Pokemon
I am
that truly captures her
Actually, very
villainy.
curious.
Clefable. Look at how evil it is. I lead Shot Put, and then I instantly take out the Clefable with a Corkscrew Crash.
That's
Then
pretty fair.
Lopunny comes out. I assumed that it would be going for Fire Punch, but for some reason she just uses Thunder Punch, which does very little damage. So I'm able to get off a Discharge, which paralyzes
Ooh,
Lopunny.
lucky
So I click
paralyzation.
Discharge again, and then Lopunny goes for Thunder Punch again.
Why is it Thunder Punch?
Weird.
Well, I is
Where is
kind of
that
dumb
next?
here.
So, predicting a Drain Punch, I switch to Olympics, but then Lusamine goes for Dual Chop instead. Again, that makes 0 sense
Yeah.
going into Shot Put. No other AI in this game is this bad and unpredictable. On the next turn, I miss a Toxic as Beware hits another Dual Chop. But of course, Lusamine has switched to Zen Headbutt for some reason, so we take a decent chunk of damage instead of being immune to Dual Chop. I protect for Leftovers recovery, then I miss another Toxic.
Yeah.
So, I protect for some recovery, and then I go for Toxic. But I miss a third time.
Luckily, you got the takedown miss.
Well, I finally connect on the next turn, so from here it's a classic Toxic stall with Protect as Lusamine continues to make insanely questionable move choices.
Yeah.
Why is she ever using Takedown here? The frustrating thing is that if I knew Beware was going to use Drain Punch, which is by far his strongest move into Metalist, I could safely switch to Olympics to stall without taking any damage. But I can't because Lusamine is being ridiculous.
Yeah.
Eventually, I gotta switch to Diver, who actually gets hit pretty hard by a Takedown on the switch, because why wouldn't she use Takedown? A final turn of toxic damage kills Beware, and then Lilligant comes out. Its only damaging move is Petal Dance, so
Petal
I
Dance
switch
is
to Sotomayor.
super
We
scary.
get hit with a Teeter Dance, but a Lumberry cures the confusion. Unfortunately, Lilligant outspeeds and confuses us again,
That's
so
unfortunate.
Sotomayor hits himself in confusion. So I switch to Shot Put as Lilligant uses Petal Dance for a huge chunk of damage. Then I switch back to Sotomayor.
Now it's locked in
Because
though, so
Lilligant
that's good.
actually has the ability Own Tempo, it doesn't get confused by the end of Petal Dance.
Oh,
So
that's
it gets off
unlucky.
another Teeter Dance. But fortunately, this time we break through and knock out the Lilligant.
I mean,
with
it's just
Master
unlucky
Rifle.
that Petal Dance stopped at that moment. Like, that's just sucky.
That could have been really bad. Last is Milotic. One would think that she'll use Hydro Pump, since that's the most damage, but who knows at this point. I switch to Ashton Eaton, who gets hit with an Icy Wind. At least that kinda makes sense. Then Lusamine uses a useless Hydro Pump as I hit a Toxic.
Mhm.
And from here, it's another Toxic stall. This battle was
Yeah.
so stupid. Given that basically every other trainer in the game
Yeah,
has
he
pretty
got
good AI,
really
I
lucky
have
with
to
bad
assume
AI.
that Lusamine's AI being dumber than a sack of bricks is intentional, which canonically may explain why Lily sucks at using Pokemon in battle. Her mom sucks too. If that's really why,
That's
I
fair.
guess that's kind of cool. But either way, this made for a really obnoxious battle. And with that, it's time to fight the Totem Komo'o in Vast Pawnee Canyon. This thing is truly terrifying. It gets an Omni boost at the start of the battle, so it can hit
Omni boost and
insanely
knows Poison
hard.
Jab.
You can also call Noivern or Caesar as an ally Pokemon depending on its
It's a
health.
very dangerous
But I
Pokemon.
have a plan. I lead Gyarados to lower its attack with Intimidate. This baits Komo'o to use Thunder Punch, which gives me a safe switch into Missy Franklin. This also means that Komo'o calls Noivern, which is better than dealing with Caesar. I protect for a turn just to bring
Screech
out
is
the
pretty
moves.
bad, though.
Then I switch to Metalist, who's immune to Dragon Claw and takes minimal damage from Boom Burst. From here, the plan is to just Toxic the Komo'o and then stall it out. But I accidentally target Noivern instead, which is amazingly stupid. I really don't know how I ever successfully finish any of these runs. Well, that does expose us to a few crits, and things could go really poorly if I miss Toxic on the next turn, but my mistake goes unpunished, and I'm able to hit the Komo'o with a second Toxic following that mistake.
Yeah, that's
now
good.
The fun part. After stalling a turn of Toxic with Protect, I switch to Shuttlecock.
Oh, is he gonna
who's
curse?
immune to both Drain Punch from Komo'o and Boom Burst from Noivern. Shuttlecock now baits Dragon moves from both Noivern and Komo'o.
No,
so it's
that would be dumb.
completely safe to switch back to Metalist. Repeating this over and over again would have been perfect had I not accidentally also poisoned Noivern. But because I did, it's gonna die before Komo'o does, and then Komo'o will call in Caesar, which I really don't want to have to deal with. So I just try to kill Komo'o with a Dazzling Gleam, but it does very little thanks to a Rosalie Berry, and Komo'o ends up surviving from poison with a Sliver, which allows him to call in Caesar. On the next turn, I protect
That
to
is
knock
pretty
out the
unfortunate.
Komo'o, but now we gotta deal with the Caesar.
Caesar
I
will be
switch to
pretty
Shot
easy
Put.
to
Then I
deal
hit it
with.
a Discharge, which does a huge chunk of damage. Caesar just uses Light Screen, so one more Discharge is all it takes to knock
Yeah,
out the
I mean,
Caesar.
He had
That's the
he had
battle,
Magna
and
Zoned. That's
completing
pretty
the trial.
safe. He was
Okay,
fine.
Let's get back to this riveting Ultra Space story. Long story short, this thing called Necrozma absorbs Solgaleo, which is the thing that digivolved from the cotton candy fluff that Lily was carrying around in her Lululemon bag. So I gotta take it down.
True.
Fortunately, Skeleton is able to make quick work of it with an Inferno Overdrive and then a Flamethrower. This causes it to open an Ultra Wormhole. So the people with a rare skin disease let me mount their Lunala so that I can ride it to Ultra Megalopolis, sure, to fight Ultra Necrozma and save the world. Or something. However, Ultra Necrozma is iconically incredibly difficult. Not only is it a Pokemon with 167 base attack and special attack, it also gets an Omni boost at the start of the battle, and it's level 60, which is well above our level cap of 54. So this is known as one of the hardest challenges in the game. Kind of. See, Ultra Necrozma, like most battles against AI, can be cheesed with the right Pokemon and the right strategies.
Yep.
One of these strategies utilizes a Fear Rattata.
Yes,
Fear
sir.
Rattata is a rather gimmicky competitive set that involves using a level 1 Rattata that knows the moves Endeavor and Quick Attack and is equipped with a Focus Sash. The idea is to bring Rattata into the battle against a strong opponent. On the first turn, the opponent tries to
He does
knock out
such a
the
good job
Rattata
with
in one
like
shot,
explaining
which
these.
activates Rattata's Focus.
So I did the same thing in my video. I used the Fear Rattata. I'm just like not really good at explaining my reasonings as to why I would use the Fear Rattata over like battling it legitly. Definitely the big part of it's like keeping within the level cap.
Rattata can then retaliate with Endeavor, which brings the opponent down to 1 HP as well. Then, on the next turn, the Rattata can use a priority Quick Attack to knock out the last health point of its opponent. Of course, there's a lot of counterplays to this strategy, but against the right opponent,
There is, yeah.
it works perfectly, and Ultra Necrozma is the right opponent. And while we don't have a Fear Rattata, we do have an Alolan Raticate named Taekwondo. So
The Eradicate
we can
will come in
collect the
handy for
Soul
sure.
Focus Sash available to us before the postgame and give it to
The Oricorios here are actually really challenging too. Teeter Dance, whatever the Revelation Dance, so it like having that typing. It's not a walk in a park to get a Focus Sash.
I can then also teach Taekwondo Endeavor at level 44.
True. You can wait to the level 44 with Raticate, or you can actually also use your beach points. And I think it's either the second or the third beach. You can actually buy Endeavor. If you're Mantine surfing, which you probably wouldn't be at that point now that you got like the Charizard flying. But if you were Mantine surfing and you're going back and forth, you probably would have had enough points to probably buy the Endeavor. But that is also just something to keep in mind. If you don't want to waste the time to train, you can also just buy Endeavor from the beach points.
And though I can't access the move relearner to reteach Taekwondo
Yeah.
quick attack,
Mover learner being at the Elite Four is seriously the dumbest thing ever. Like, you could get heart scales, but you have to wait to use it. Like, it's so stupid.
so instead of using a Fear Rattata, I'm going to be using a Fesper Raticate.
Yeah.
But there's one tiny wrinkle to this.
Oh,
plan.
yeah. The
Taekwondo's
hustle.
ability
That does
is
become
hustle.
more dangerous.
Hustle is a stupid ability that ups the power of your attacking moves at the expense of accuracy.
Yeah. No, this could
means
be
that Taekwondo
this could be
has
pretty
a
bad.
20% chance to miss Endeavor or Sucker Punch. If she misses Sucker Punch, that's okay. I can just finish off the Ultra Necrozma with another priority move from another team member. But
True.
if she misses Endeavor, it's very likely that I wipe. 20% to have to restart the run. Now, I'm sure that me gambling about a month of my life working on this run would make for some pretty thrilling content.
It could be.
Instead, I just decide to take the safer option. There's an item in these later generations called the Ability Capsule, which allows you to change the ability of your Pokemon if they have 2 abilities available.
Where do you find that?
Fortunately, Alolan Raticate can have Hustle or Gluttony, so by using an Ability Capsule on Taekwondo, I can remove the 20% chance of wiping and give her the ability Gluttony. In order to get an Ability Capsule, though, you need 100 battle points, which thankfully you can get relatively quickly by doing the Mantine Surf minigame. So, after an afternoon of riding
Beach
the
points,
waves,
battle
I get
points.
an
Got
Ability
you.
Capsule, hide it in a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and then feed it to Taekwondo. With that, we're ready to take on Ultra Necrozma.
That's
I wish I
huge.
could somehow make this suspenseful, but as long as I push the correct buttons, this is unlosable. Fortunately, my idiocy doesn't get in the way. I click the right buttons, and it goes off without a hitch. Step aside, Remy. There's
know what's
a real
funny?
badass rat in town.
I just mentioning the beach points with the moves. I didn't know about the ability capsule. Like, I learned so much new stuff. I feel a little stupid, but oh well, you know. I'd mostly pay attention to the moves than the other items. This trial, I definitely hated.
Next. I start by fighting her. Then I need to go around Alola and fight 4 of the previous trial captains to collect some flower petals. In theory, this is kind of a cool way to tie the world together and bring characters back from the start of the game to really bring a sense of finality to the journey.
I can agree
In
with that.
practice, though, it's insanely tedious.
Yeah.
At least when I've been doing a Nuzlocke of these games on stream for over a month.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to skip all these fights.
Be glad it didn't
Because
take you
they're
11
pretty
attempts.
straightforward and
Or 11
not
more
all that
attempts.
difficult. But what is difficult is the Totem Rabombi that attacks you at the end of her trial.
Briombi
The
can be
thing
pretty
gets
tough.
+2 to all of its stats. It's also level 55. Unfortunately, the Pawnee Island Kahuna's level cap is level 54, so I'm actually stuck at a slight level disadvantage. I lead Sotomayor, which does at least resist all of Rabombi's attacks. Rabombi starts with a Quiver Dance as Sotomayor hits a Toxic, which at least is guaranteed to hit when used by a Poison type. Rabombi then calls in Pelipper at the end of the turn.
I guess in that sense, if I basically gave the totem Pokemon more me personally, I gave the totem Pokemon more priority than the Grand Kahuna. So my level cap when I play this was 55. I don't think there's a right or wrong way to do it. I guess it does kind of make the totem or the grand trial in this island easier if you don't play that way. I don't think there's any way wrong going either way. This can be pretty dangerous.
The idea is to protect stall and do damage with super effective moves. But if I protect and Rabombi uses another Quiver Dance, I might not be able to protect stall for long enough.
Yeah.
I just don't know if Rabombi will go for a second Quiver Dance here. But I do decide to risk it and go for an Acid Downpour. Rabombi does indeed go for a second Quiver Dance. So, Crobot's able to fire off a nasty Acid Downpour, which doesn't kill Rabombi, but hopefully Protect and Toxic damage are enough to finish it off. Unfortunately, Rabombi hangs on with just a sliver. Pelipper has also gained 2 stockpile and is now threatening to hit us with a 200 base power Spit Up.
Yeah, Spit Up
I
could be
could
pretty
risk a
dangerous
double
here.
Protect, but that's only a 50% chance of being successful. Instead, I just decide to switch to Shot Put. And then for some reason, Rabombi just throws the game and goes for another
Yeah,
Quiver
that was
Dance.
pretty lucky there.
Pelipper also goes for a 3rd stockpile, and then Rabombi dies to poison damage. So last is the Pelipper, who does hit a fairly hard rain-boosted Scald before going down to a Discharge. But even with a crit, Sturdy always guarantees us the win at that point.
Yeah.
It would have been pretty embarrassing if our Electric type got knocked out by a Water type.
It would have been,
Anyways,
yeah.
That's the final trial completed.
Nice. He played that really well. He definitely played that pretty safely. And if like that times 2 of Quiver Dance, it still would have done a lot of damage to Magneton, and then he probably would have lost his Magnezone to Pelipper. That would have been pretty bad.
Next up is our 4th and final grand trial against the Pawnee Island Kahuna Hapu. So I head to Executor Island to challenge this weird-looking Animal Crossing villager. What the hell is this
Bear.
thing? Like,
She's
what's
a little
with her
girl.
nose? Why does she look like a scarecrow? Well, whatever. She leads Golurk, so I lead Croc Climber and one-shot it with a Black Hole Eclipse.
Dang.
Then Hapu sends out Gastrodon, so I switch to Sailing, who has now evolved into a Pelipper. I protect with Sailing to get some HP back with leftovers, and then I set up a Mist. This lets me switch to Olympics without risking an accuracy drop from Muddy Water.
That's pretty fair.
From here, I use Workup and stay healthy with Roost until the Mist wears off. Then I kill the Gastrodon with a Leaf Blade. Mudsdale comes out, but thanks to the Workup boost, the hefty cow goes down to a single Leaf Blade.
Nice.
Next is Flygon, so at least the Scarecrow does have some decent taste in Pokemon. Olympics tanks a Dragon Breath and then hits a Spirit Shackle that leaves Flygon with a Sliver. A Leaf Blade would have actually killed it, since it's 90 base power in this game instead of 70 base power, but I didn't remember that, so I thought that Spirit Shackle at 80 base power would do more damage. Fortunately, on the next turn, Hapu just uses a Hyper Potion, and then a Leaf Blade finishes it off, winning us the battle, and completing the final grand trial. Require a final battle
so he's showing the last Gladian
but
fight.
since
Okay.
I've been skipping his
I got a
fights
little
anyways,
confused.
Let's just skip this one too. It's not that difficult.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
What is difficult, apparently, is this completely avoidable trainer in the cave of Mount Lanakila. She has a Milotic, and since she's a veteran trainer, her Pokemon are fully EV trained, so this thing hits really hard. I try to out Shot Put with Volt Switch, thinking that I'm fast enough, but I completely misread Milotic's speed stat in my trainer document, which means that Milotic is able to outspeed and kill Shot Put with a Hydro Pump. Shot Put has been really invaluable in this run, and he would have been incredibly useful in the Elite Four. So seeing him get killed off like this in such an unceremonious manner is really upsetting, especially because Olympics is able to just easily come in, outspeed, and kill Milotic in one shot with a Leaf Blade. This was completely avoidable.
Milotic's
Rest well, Shot
also
Put.
really bulky too. That's kind of impressive.
We get to the Elite Four, which is probably one of the strongest Elite Fours ever assembled in any Pokemon game.
It is very versatile. Yeah.
So this is gonna
it's
be
a solid
tough.
Elite Four.
After hours of theory crafting, here's the team I came up with. Leveled up to match the level cap of the Elite Four's highest level Pokemon. Okay, let's see if we've got what it takes. First on the chopping block is Molayne.
Okay,
type trainer.
get him out of the way.
Klefki, and
He
I'm
could be pretty
Croc Climber.
tricky too.
Klefki is a bit annoying because it sets up Reflect. This means an Earthquake doesn't kill it. So on the next turn, I use Brick Break to break the Reflect, but unfortunately, Klefki survives with a Sliver. Molayne uses a full Restore on the
That's
next
actually
turn,
good,
so
though.
a follow-up Brick Break doesn't kill either. So Klefki gets up another
You should have
Reflect
Earthquake there.
and survives another Earthquake. But a final Brick Break knocks out the Klefki and breaks the Reflect. This also triggers Moxie, and from here, it's a good old-fashioned Moxie sweep.
Cool.
Well, kind of. Metagross goes down to an Earthquake, as does Bisharp. But then a Lowland Dugtrio comes out, and
Dugtrio
he's able
is
to outspeed me.
faster.
So I switch to Diver to dodge a Fissure.
Oh.
Then a Hydro Vortex kills
Yeah.
the Dugtrio in
Forgot
one
about
shot.
Fissure.
Last from Molayne is Magnezone, so I switch to Croc Climber on a Thunderbolt. Then I use Fling to throw a King's Rock at the Magnezone, which causes it to flinch and breaks it sturdy. So a final Earthquake knocks out the Magnezone, winning us the battle. One down,
That's
3 to go.
actually kind of
That was
cool.
by far the easiest of the four. Next is Olivia,
guaranteed flinch
who's
with
back for
Fling.
vengeance after being cheesed by a Workup Dug trio. She leads Armaldo, and I lead Missy Franklin. Armaldo hits a pretty hard X-Scissors, but I retaliate with a strong Scald.
Yeah.
I go for a Protect to recover HP with leftovers, but I get punished and Olivia heals Armaldo for free. So I go for a Protect on the next turn. Then I go for another Scald. Luckily, this one burns because we were at risk to a critical hit from X-Scissors. But
Good.
now it's safe to just Protect and use Recover until the Armaldo dies from burn damage. So Armaldo goes down and Missy is at full health.
Good.
Next is Crawdadly, so I switch to Sotomayor, who gets tickled by an Energy Ball. Then I hit Crawdadly with a 100% accurate Toxic.
Ancient
as
Power
Sotomayor
will
gets
suck
hit
here, I
by a
think.
Rock Tomb.
Or Rock Tomb, yeah,
And
yeah.
it's time for just another cheeky
Yeah, that did
Toxic
hurt,
Stall.
but he's fine.
Toxic Stall isn't that reliable because the enemies often use healing items, but if you time it right, or if you're bulky enough to fully Toxic Stall the enemy twice, then it's a pretty great strategy.
Yeah.
Crawdadly goes down a few
This
turns
is-
later, and
That's pretty much why I relied on Muck so much, because of Toxic minimize Venom Drench, which Venom Drench, if you don't know, weakens the attack and special attack of Pokemon that are poisoned. So it just becomes like insane. Muck becomes insanely broken for this.
So I switch back to Missy, and then I go for a Toxic. Look, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Also, Missy is incredible at Toxic Stall because she has access to recovery. So even when Olivia uses a full restore on Gigalith, we're still able to take
pretty
it down
solid.
and stay at full
Very
HP.
solid.
Fourth is Provopass, and although I can't poison it, Provopass does very little damage to Missy with any of its attacks. So even though it sets up a Sandstorm to buff its special defense, we're able to take it out with a few Scalds.
That's
and
good.
Because we get another burn, Provopass actually goes down with Missy remaining at full HP. So last is Lycanrock, but now it's time for another Toxic Stall. This is slightly scary because Rock Climb can confuse, but thankfully
I think a Scald just
connects.
Well, it's good with
Missy
taking a
does
couple
get confused
Scalds.
a few turns later, but at that point the battle is over. I can switch into Olympics.
Unless he was out of Scalds.
Stall with Protect, and then switch to Medalist on
I just don't know why you Toxic Stall there.
Lycanrock falls, and that's Olivia defeated. Third is Kahili, the Flying type Elite Four member.
I'm just missing something.
I'm not sure what her whole deal is. She likes golf, I guess? I don't know. Anyway, she leads with Freedom Burb, and I lead Medalist. Freedom Burb hits us with a Brave Bird as I set up a Stealth Rocks. Then I go for a Protect for Leftovers recovery. On the next turn, we get hit by another Brave Bird, and then I hit a Power Gem. Then it's another Protect for Leftovers recovery, and lastly, a final Power Gem knocks out Freedom Burb. But Medalist isn't looking too healthy at this point. Kahili sends out Hawlucha, so I Protect for recovery. Then
Poison
I go for
Jab.
Toxic,
Oh,
as Hawlucha
that's
hits a
good.
Poison Jab, which thankfully doesn't poison.
Yeah, doesn't
Then
poison
it's another
and
Protect.
yeah.
Then I switch to Sotomayor, who resists a Poison Jab. Then I switch to Missy, who gets hit hard by a critical hit Throat Chop. Then Hawlucha hits a hard Flying Press, but Missy uses recovery, and then the poison damage finishes
Nice.
off the Hawlucha.
So yeah, poison stalling.
So next
Very
is
cool.
Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz uses Flatter, but fortunately I break through the confusion and hit a Toxic.
Ooh.
On the next
That's pretty
turn,
good, though.
Mandibuzz hits a hard Brave Bird, and Missy comes in clutch and gets off a Recover. She's
That also
less
makes
clutch
Scald
on the
stronger,
next turn,
too.
Though, where she hits herself in confusion trying to get off a Protect, and then get hit hard by a critical hit Brave Bird. Yikes. Mandibuzz also falls into the red due to the poison damage, so Kahili is going to heal. I stay in as Mandibuzz goes for a full restore, but Missy hits herself in confusion.
Yeah, a
luck.
bit risky.
I switch to Medalist to tank a Brave Bird, then I go for a Protect for recovery. It looks like Mandibuzz is going for Flatter here, so I stay in, get hit by Flatter, and then hit myself in confusion.
Yeah.
Bad luck times 2. Mandibuzz should now use Bone Meringue to hit Medalist for super effective damage, so I switch into Diver. But instead of using Bone Meringue, she uses Brave Bird, which crits. Bad luck
Yikes.
times 3. This Mandibuzz is just ravaging my team. Okay, well, I switch back to Medalist to tank a Brave Bird. Then I Protect for recovery, and it looks like Mandibuzz is just going for Brave Birds now. So I tank a Brave Bird and hit it with a Toxic. And now we should be okay. Our Protect heals us up and does poison damage to Mandibuzz. Then Medalist gets hit by a Flatter, but is finally able to break through and hit a Power Gem. With the Flatter boost, that and poison damage are enough to knock out this incredibly annoying bird. But now Toucanon comes out.
Toucanon's definitely dangerous.
It has Skill Link, an ability that makes multi-hit moves always land their max number of hits. It also knows Rock Blast and Bullet Seed. So I'd expect it to use Bullet Seed here, but for some reason it goes for Beak Blast as I Protect. I kind of forgot that I was still confused, so getting that Protect off was incredibly lucky.
Yeah,
the plan was to switch Sotomayor in on a Bullet Seed, but since Toucanon isn't going for that move, I'm not sure what to do. I decide to stay in with Medalist. For some reason, Toucanon uses Screech, which Medalist is immune to thanks to Clear Body. Medalist also lands a Toxic through Confusion. So I guess this good
Bad AI is like really doing good. They're
Next,
like
I
really
switch to
helping him out
Olympics
here.
because he has a Koba Berry to survive a Flying type attack. But Kahili uses a full heal. This full heal crap is pretty annoying, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I try to see
Yeah, not only do they have like access to full restores, but every time you use a status move, they have at least one full heal, and it's annoying as a Toxic Staller. Like it's the worst.
see if I can waste Toucanon's Flying type Z move by going for a Protect, but it just goes for Screech instead. So I switch to Medalist, who is immune to Screech. And then I use Protect for recovery and to scout out that Toucanon is using Beak Blast. So I stay in and go for Toxic. But then Toucanon goes for a Z move.
This could hurt.
Supersonic Strike. It does do a decent amount of damage because it crits, but it's still not enough to take out the god that is Medalist the Carbink.
Carbink
He
is
also fires off a
so
Toxic.
good defensively.
Then we use our last Protect PP to dodge a Beak Blast. Then I switch to Sotomayor, and thankfully Beak Blast doesn't crit, so Sotomayor survives. This lets me Protect for more Toxic damage, but now Toucanon is in the red, so Kahili is going to heal. Fortunately, this finally gives me a safe switch into Croc Climber, and then I'm finally able to outspeed this miserable thing and kill it with a Continental Crush Z move in one shot.
Nice.
Good freaking riddance.
Good.
Last for Kahili is Oricorio, who takes 50% from Stealth Rocks on the switch.
Yeah, Oricorio is pretty
Oricorio
dangerous.
Outspeeds and gets off a Feather Dance, so one crunch isn't enough to kill it. Then on the next turn, Oricorio uses Teeter Dance, and we hit ourselves in confusion.
Yeah.
I am so sick of these damn birds. But since I don't have any safe switches, I just stay in. And for whatever reason, Kahili uses Teeter Dance again, and then we snap out of confusion.
Yeah, bad
So
AI
crunch, we kill the Oricorio, and finally put an end to
is
this miserable,
really wild.
miserable battle. I lead Diver
Bayonet
gets
can
up
be
and
pretty
intimidate.
dangerous.
And then I just start going for Dragon Dances. Yeah, I know Dragon Dancing is kind of easy mode, but it's really
Yeah.
the only thing I could figure out for this fight, and even then it wasn't guaranteed. Fortunately, Bayonet doesn't get any critical hits as I set up 2 Dragon Dances. Then
Nice.
Crunch takes it out. Second is Frostlass, and I actually needed the 2 Dragon Dances to outspeed this thing. But because I got them off, we outspeed and finish it off with a Crunch.
Perfect.
Third is Delmise, so another Crunch takes it out. Fourth is Palisand, and even with 2 Dragon Dances, a Crunch won't one-shot this thing, since it's got a ton
Would
of
Aqua Tail
defensive
have
UV
done
investments.
better?
So I need to actually use Black Hole Eclipse instead.
No.
But that's enough for the one-shot.
That's fine.
Luckily, we have enough HP to safely knock it out with Crunch, despite losing a chunk of
Solid.
health from Aftermath.
Ooh.
And with that,
Yeah.
we've beaten the Elite Four.
Aftermath would have
Somehow we
been
did Death
so
Race.
sucky
But there's
to have
one
lost.
final challenge left. Trainer Hao has come to challenge my right to the throne. So the final fight
Yeah.
of the challenge begins. Hao leads his Alolan Raichu, and I lead Croc Climber. This Raichu is very fast and very strong.
Raichu
It
is
knows Thunderbolt,
wild.
Quick Attack, Psychic, and Focus Blast.
Focus
This
Blast
means
is so
that it
wild.
completely safe to switch from Croc Climber to Owlympics to dodge the Focus Blast.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can switch back to Croc Climber to dodge the Psychic. And I can repeat this until Raichu runs out of Focus Blast PP, which doesn't take that
He's
long.
playing
since
this
it only
so
has 5
well.
PP.
Yeah, this is the way to do it.
After that, it's safe to start using Bulk Up, since Raichu can only damage Croc Climber with weak quick attacks. After 2 Bulk Ups, an Earthquake knocks out the Raichu. Then Crabominable comes out, and this buck-toothed loser gets one shot by an Earthquake as well.
Huge.
Third is Primarina, who also goes down to an Earthquake. Fourth is Flareon, who also goes down to an Earthquake.
Yeah.
And then fifth is Tauros, which actually will outspeed me. Our bulk ups will make its attacks do essentially nothing, but if it crits, it will kill Croc Climber. Given that Hao only has 2 Pokemon left, that wouldn't really be the end of the world, but I decide to go for a deathless finale. Digging 8 graves is more than enough for one challenge. So I switch to Olympics to dodge a double edge. Tauros hits a pretty hard Iron Head, and then I retaliate with a Leaf Blade. On the next turn, Hao switches to Noivern, who easily tanks the Leaf Blade.
Yeah.
I scout out an Air Slash with Protect, and then I switch to Old Faithful Metalist. Noivern uses Super Fang for a good chunk of damage, but 2 Power Gems are enough to finish it off.
Very nice.
So, Tauros comes back out as Hao's last Pokemon, and Metalist isn't the least bit intimidated. After a turn of protecting for recovery, I switch to Missy, who gets tickled by an Iron Head. Then I get back to full health by using Protect and getting some leftovers recovery. Then I use Recover to just let Tauros hurt itself with a Double Edge. And then, finally, after tanking one more Double Edge, an Ice Beam finishes off the Tauros,
Nice.
winning us the battle and the run.
Dude,
That challenge was quite the
So
roller
good.
coaster of emotions.
Flygon, great video, man. You play that so well. Definitely learned a lot for future runs, even for myself, and how to utilize stuff. The ability capsule, I just didn't know about that. If you have not already, go to FlygonHG's channel. Drop a like. I'm pretty sure everyone who watches me has watched him. But if in the off chance you haven't, definitely do that. Also, leave a like and subscribe here. I am also bringing more Nuzlocke videos. I have a couple in the works as we speak. This was a really cool video to watch and react to. And if you want to see more reaction videos, let me know, because wouldn't mind reacting to Ludwig's Mogul Platinum, maybe. Who knows? No, super impressive video, and I hope you learned something from this as much as I have. All right, with that, I will see you guys later. Peace out.